what I like to do is I like to get to the very beginning of things because I feel like where you're born, where you're raised, kind of led you to where you are today, right? And when we did that with Slip, we found out a lot of interesting things, and I think I dug out a lot of great things, and I'm, definitely excited for you guys to hear some of his stories. So we won't have all the time in the world, but we'll be able to get through some of it, or a good majority of it. So yeah, so tell me where you were born and start from there.
Okay, I'm trying to get into the chat too
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
I could barely read it.
Okay, no worries.
So okay, I think I'm in here. So I was born in the Philippines, and I came to California and Los Angeles around 7 years old. So I was born in the Philippines, but once I moved here, oh man, there I am. So I think that was like no, it's like I was around like fifth grade. So I was probably like 10. So I was actually in a talent show in school. So what I did was I played piano. I played Chariots of Fire. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie, but I played the soundtrack to that song. And I was up against a couple of friends who were actually popping and breakdancing too. It's kind of funny how that worked out. They came in third. I came in second. And I forgot Susie Hinkebine. She's the one, great singer, and she won it. And for second place, I got, she's going to show my age too, an ET ruler. I don't know if you know what ET is, the
Oh yeah.
extraterrestrial ET movie that Stephen King directed. So that was my prize. I was like, really? That's what I got? So, hey,
But wait, let's
so
go back. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, so you were born in the Philippines.
yeah, so when I moved here and when I was 7 years old, so
Yeah.
me coming from the Philippines, coming here to Los Angeles, the first thing I really wanted to do was just like try to fit in. So I lost not everything. Like I forgot how to speak Tagalog. I try to be more speak English. While Chris Cut here, she was born in LA and she was able to learn how to speak Tagalog, which is crazy to me. I'm like, oh my god, I was trying to not forget about it. I was trying to learn more and more and try to fit in with my classmates,
Hmm.
and she was able to do vice versa. My parents try to talk to us once in a while, but still, so I can understand, but give or take, I wouldn't be able to speak. So
Oh
I
wow.
put her on the spot, didn't I? Yeah, because it still trips me out to this day that she can speak fluently and I
Oh
can't.
wow. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, so you said you moved here. There was, yeah, obviously you forgot all your Tagalog. There's a culture shock. Um, and when were you first introduced to hip hop?
So I had a neighbor who lived across the street, and probably it was. I can't. I'm not too sure if they were cousins or they were just good friends. But if you know Boogaloo Shrimp or Turbo and Break and Michael Chambers,
Mhm.
there was either their cousin or a really good friend or family friend, and they introduced me to breakdancing and everything else. Also, since I mentioned about breaking with Michael with Turbo, let's give a big rest in peace to Adolfo with Shabadoo, who passed away too. Yeah, it's crazy. Just last
Rest in
couple of
peace.
days ago.
I know, crazy.
So yeah, they introduced me to hip hop, and I started breakdancing. Just every day after school, I'd be carrying my pieces of cardboard, walking home with a little radio, one of those small boom boxes. I couldn't afford the big ones, but I still had something, thinking that I'm going to get somebody to come up and wanted to battle. No one really did, just a couple of friends, but I was prepared. So what we do is we just go to each other's to just go across the street and we just practice on the driveway, and that was my childhood until, of course, DJing came to be.
Yeah, but then you also mentioned Herbie Hancock, right, at the Grammys.
Yes. So what year was that? Like 84?
84. Yep.
Um, yeah, see. So that was another thing too. So that's when I was able to really see, because I really wanted to view this because for the dancing. But then when I saw the DJ, I was like, oh man, it's dope. That freaking foot when he was doing like the moonwalk. It- if you guys haven't seen this, this really influenced a lot of DJs, influenced a lot of
Mhm.
us. So seeing this video was insane, and we couldn't wait to like. I mean, this was like that merging of like from that. world class wrecking crew to like hit where hip hop really got to. But yeah, this performance, there he is, Grandmaster DXT. So we're like, what is that? We actually saw it on screen. So shout out to all those DJs that were influenced by this video, and
Hmm.
still to this day.
Yeah, and then in 1985, you were introduced to tables, right?
Yeah, so wow, it really shows my age. So 1985, you guys do the math. I was 13.
Okay, mid
Um,
80s.
so I was 13 years old during that time. So you saw that I was playing piano. I was really into music. I joined the band. I even played an accordion. I played that recorder that you were I think majority of us were destined to play right at some point during elementary
Hmm.
school.
Yep.
So I always loved music. Um, and we were at a friend's house in the beginning, and he had a couple of this is for me from walking with my cardboard. I'm like, yo, this is going on. I'll dance while you guys DJ. Cool. And my friend saw, hey, um, you're really into this. All these other guys are a bunch of gangsters. They're not really into it. So he came over my house and brought his turntables over my house. And I was like hooked. And I was lucky enough, I guess you could say luck, um, that he had to go to Pennsylvania for the summer for 3 months. And in that time, he was like, you seem like a really good guy. He trusted me to leave his turntables and mixer to, at the house. So at the age of 13, I had a pair of belt-driven turntables, a pyramid mixer. I think they were Pioneer, where the knobs were like you change a pitch, like on the side. Um, and he left it for me for 3 months. And by that time, I practiced every day, and I actually thought, and I bet you not a lot of DJs had this feeling in their heads that I thought I was the best DJ in the world because there's nobody else to hear. So whatever you heard on the radio or video or whatever you saw, I knew I could do it all. But so at one point, I thought that my scratching, my skills were that dope, and I bet you no one ever had that feeling, thinking like, what else is there to learn? Until I finally get humbled by other DJs I finally met. So
And then also at the time, you also got into graffiti. You were saying, and you got, you were talking
oh
about
yeah.
dance. And what was your DJ name?
Okay, so let's go back for the dancing so they know
Okay.
my dancing name. So my dancing name was Slip because I had a partner called his name was Slide. So Slip and Slide, right? And I started my parents, actually my dad and his side of the family, all they're all brothers. All my uncles, they were all either engravers, architects, painters. So I started drawing, and I loved comics. I collected comic books. So I don't know if you've seen our studio, but I do put some comic books up. So I started drawing too, and I came with using my name as Sketch. So that was my DJ name was Slip. Sketch was my graffiti name, right?
Mhm.
And for my DJ name, uh, it's Firecracker. And did I tell you the story how I got Firecracker?
Yeah, go tell the audience.
Okay, so my DJ name was Firecracker. And a lot of DJs that I knew back then really thought it was the dopest name. Because can you imagine doing the Firecracker scratch? Like I could have created my own scratch. And I think that would work, the Firecracker scratch. So one 4th of July, uh, those little Filipino firecrackers,
Yeah.
the Watu Cs, I think that's what they call it. I'm not sure. So I tried to light one up, throw it, and it blew on my hand. Luckily, nothing was lost. My hearing went off a little bit, but other than that, one of my friends, Sarah, she's like, oh, "That's your DJ name, Firecracker."
There you go.
So, so I had Firecracker for not too long, um, but it was in my freshman year. I started walking down the halls. You're trying to find your classes, and then one of my friends, or they just yelled out, "They're like slip, slip," and I would turn around, and everybody just called me that. So that kind of stuck with me. So I just kept Slip for my name throughout.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it was like a forced issue.
Yeah. So yeah. So then from that point, also you also started a DJ crew, right?
Oh, I had a lot of DJ crews, but the
Yeah.
first DJ crew when I first started, when I first got the turntables, we were called ESP, and it stood for Exquisite Sound Productions. So that was our little DJ crew. We had our little business cards, did a couple house parties. Um, oh, I didn't even tell you. So by the time my friend came back from Pennsylvania, he had to pick up his equipment. So I was miserable. My parents saw that, and I was a little spoiled. So I just told them, "Can I get a turntables? I'll try to pay for it with gigs, whatever it may be." And they finally got me two 1200s and a Newmark mixer. And I think Sick and Crazy posted some of those Newmark old 17 or 1650 mixers too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much how I got back into really now being able to be trained on belt driven turntables, having my own 1200s. It was like night and day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then so then Exquisite Sounds. Then you also you did you transition to Flip Nights of Sound, correct?
Yeah, so during high school, like freshman, sophomore year, you might be in here. We'll see. Oh, there it is. Oh my God, I had hair. Yeah, so we were called Flip Nights of Sound or Flip Nights. And that's what my high school, I even DJ'd a lot of my high school dances. Um, I even DJ'd my own prom, if you guys believe that. So my own senior prom, I was able to DJ that. Of course, I had my date, and the advantage was I get to play the. I didn't get to. I get to really request what last song I could dance to with my date during that time.
Yeah.
And I remember it was I think it was Spandau Ballet. True.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
just like you heard, I DJ my own prom, right? So, oh man, see if you can look. Oh, Ariel's probably in here too. You could see Noel's cousins on there, but we may look like gangsters, but we weren't. And just a quick story about that was I never joined a gang. So during high school, gangs were like everywhere, especially in LA. Now I have an older sister, and she was pretty and a cousin, and they protected me because I hung out with all my friends, and they were majority were gangbangers, um, but they were wanted to jump me into a gang, but they were like, "Wait a second, let's think this is over. He's been DJing a lot of house parties in different cities. Why are we going to risk that? Let him make his money. Let's let him go DJ all these cities. So it's not his DJ crew isn't connected to that city because what would happen would be is if they know that DJ crew is DJing at that specific city, they'll think that that's the Rolling Crips party. We don't want to do that, or this is Pinot Rial's party, or I can name all the gangs, but
Yeah.
that's part of the reason. And all the veteranos, they'll be like, you know what, we appreciate that. So they didn't jump me in because of me being a DJ. Is that pretty crazy too? So,
Yeah.
but don't get me wrong, I was down with them. They were my friends. I went to school with them all the
Yeah.
time. So, but yeah, that group right there, none of us were gangsters. We might try to fake it, but no, we're a little party crew.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was it was a sign of the times, right? It was kind of like what everyone was doing, dressing that way and everything, and kind of what you said. Going back to that, DJing saved your life, pretty much. Who knows what could have
It could have,
happened?
yeah, it could have,
Yeah.
or either that I could be in jail.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know where that could have led.
Exactly.
So
So yeah. So with Flip Nights of Sound, um, you guys also, I think you said you battled a little bit, right? I mean, just like one or two battles.
okay, so battling back then was a little bit different. So when you battled for equipment. You battle for a mixer, some speakers, even records, whatever it may be. That's what you battle for. And with a lot of these crews, and I think I explained it to you during pre-interview, like you battle one crew, there's always that one DJ in that crew that was a problem. That was dope. Everybody else was just the crew. It was only that one. But we all kind of got along. So like the cities were like West Covina. You had the guys from Cerritos like Icy
Mhm.
Ice from Long Beach, all those guys, and from Irvine. So here in Southern California, we kind of knew each other at least we knew of the crews, and we knew the guy or that one guy that was like, oh, that guy's dope. Can't front him. And the battles were so when I started battling, I thought I was the best, and then finally, um, there was actually a DJ battle at another local high school, and that's where I saw DJ Homicide. If nobody knows, DJ Homicide was battling, and I was blown away by his set. He ended up winning that evening. I think he DJ'd for Sugar Ray, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe that was
Hmm.
homicide. So, um, yeah, I was like blown away. I think that was like probably my junior year. So, but I also did some local high school battles. High schools actually, like the one I went to with Diamond Bar, I was from another school, but my friends put me in their crew for just for that one day, so I could be in that battle, which was kind of cheating in a sense. But we won that battle. I think we won $50.
Yeah. And
50
and
bucks back then was a lot, guys.
yeah. Oh yeah. And I
That
think you
was
said too.
a lot of
Oh, good.
records.
Yeah. And I think you said too at that time too. Some of those DJs were some of the DJs now for DP Sound and Boom Bap Kids, right?
Oh yeah, I have dance videos of DP Sound. If you guys follow DP Sound or Boom Bap Kids,
Mhm.
I actually have footage and video of us dancing when we were in high school.
Yes. We will get there.
I
Actually,
don't want to put him on the spot, but yeah, if I ever see him, but so if DP Sound and not a lot of us from West Covina and Roland Heights, that area, really came out of like the DJing that really kept going. Everybody else moved forward to having kids, gang banging, or having their families and moved on. While I could actually say those guys from Boom Bap, DP Sound, all the Bridges, those are the guys that definitely I grew up with in high school.
wow, that's awesome. It's so crazy. It's such history. Jumping forward, so yeah, you're getting heavily into DJing, and you guys were doing a bunch of dances, parties. You DJed your own prom, and then in 1990, you said your equipment got stolen, right?
It was at UCLA. It must have been either UCLA hall party or maybe a house party. I can't really remember, but one of my friends who drove the truck had majority of the equipment, and we had other two carloads that were carrying like other stuff, lights, crates, whatever. But he had the turntables, he had the amp rack, he had yes, we carried amp racks. We didn't have self powered speakers back then, so they were all passive. So he had majority of the speakers and the equipment, and he said he ran out of gas, pulled over in the middle of the freeway of the 660, and he got jumped by a couple of guys and with another truck and took off with the system and left him um, all messed up and beat up. And when we saw him after that night, we're like, he looked really bad, and he looked like he did get in a big got jumped, and
Mhm.
so we lost all of our equipment, including some records too. So that's how it got stolen. But to move farther ahead, I found out later on that it was my friend. They actually conspired and they stole the system.
Oh no way! Are you serious?
I didn't tell you that story.
You didn't
So
tell me that
yeah,
part. Wow. Oh, that's crazy. That's
that
crazy,
kind of
man.
stopped
So
my
wicked.
DJ career for like a good year or two.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, and so I know you said during that time you were still dancing. We actually have
So,
some
so
footage.
oh my God, here we go. I guess on my side, I'm wearing black in the front. I only put a minute. So this is the style back then. Everyone was like loving MC Hammer or Heavy D. You're wearing baggies. Um, oh my God.
Let's see you recreate that routine right
So
now.
a lot of it's funny. So back then, when you everyone had a debut, um, and if for some reason every debut there's singers and performances and dancers, and here we go. There's that one. Oh my God, you can't really hear the music, right? Cool.
No,
So
no, no. Yeah.
well, with the advantage of a lot of these mixes too, that a lot of the dancers that they would ask us to make their routines, their songs for them. So
Mhm.
yep, that's me. And it's funny how we're wearing baggies. You can't even see our movements because our pants are so freaking baggy in our shirts. See, I could keep going, but I think I made sure I stopped it there.
Chris cut. Remember what we talked about?
I have so many videos. At least I have like 4 hours worth of video that I found
Yeah.
while cleaning the garage.
So yeah, so you're still dancing, and the name of this crew you said was After Hours Crew, right?
After hours crew, yeah. So we had the girls too. I could have showed you some of the girls, but this is about me, damn it. Well, one of them was my ex too. So yeah, that was fun.
So
Oh
then,
my god.
yeah. So,
Let's put me back on the mainstream. I'm just
okay,
kidding.
okay. It's all right. So
I need a
we'll have a
shot,
different
Benji. I
segment.
need a shot.
Yeah. Okay, so you're dancing, and then by luck, or I guess coincidence, you luckily got back into uh, DJing again, and you ran into a
So,
friend.
so I would during that in the meantime, I may not have my own equipment, but our crew still. I mean, some of the our guys and our friends like Noel and everyone, they had a DJ equipment, so I was able to practice there, or I'd still try to collect records. It wasn't going to stop me from really DJing, but I didn't have equipment. Um, I never thought about buying it unless I was able to save money or convince my parents to buy me new equipment. So a good friend of mine, DJ Havoc, I was able to DJ his high school dance at Gar High School in Cerritos, and he's now a beat junkie. And he wanted to be in my DJ crew, and he was like, "Hey, I want to be part of Flip Nights." I'm like, "Yeah, we don't really have any equipment, and we're trying to just keep it low. It's kind of hard to split like $50 or $100 between more than 3 or 4 people." Um, that's so I didn't. I told him right now it's not the time. So I think that was one of my regrets because he really moved forward with DJing, and while the other guys kind of really moved forward in their lives and in their careers. So Havoc, he joined the Zulu Nation. He was like, yeah, I'm going to join Zulu. I'm going to pay my fees. Um, J Rock's starting the Beat Junkies. He has Green Lantern rings for all of us. I'm like, what's that crew? He goes, scratching. And then he started showing me a couple scratches, and I saw how great he became within that year or 2 years before we even started practicing learning together. So I was almost jealous, like, wow, I missed a lot.
Yeah.
So right there and then, I wasn't shy, and I just begged my parents to get me new equipment, and I was able to get at least a new pair of turntables and mixer, and they knew how much I loved it. Uh, I think I probably cried enough and told them like I need to have a system. I need to make money.
Yeah.
Honestly, the reason why I became also the DJing too was my parents were really strict, so I wouldn't be able to go out of the house. So I didn't DJ because for girls. I didn't DJ because it was music. I love music anyway. I played piano. I played practically every instrument in the band. So it wasn't about the music too much. It was more about me trying to get out of the house. It was a reason for me to be the first one at the party and the last one out.
Yeah.
So my parents were strict; they wouldn't let me out. But if I was DJing a gig, there were no complaints. So I was able to hang out with my friends. So that was part of the reason why I really wanted to become a DJ for DJing those parties.
And you're making a little bit of money, I'm sure. That's what, they,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, they definitely want that because uh, I had to pay for the equipment somehow.
Yeah. 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 You had a repayment program, right?
Right.
Awesome. Okay. So then after that, you finally got got your got rebuilt your equipment, and in '98 you you were talking about DMK.
Oh yeah. So back then, when you're not 21, there's not that many places to really go and party at. There's a couple like 16 and over clubs, or you would throw parties like at the colleges, like friendship games, and you do all of those kind of events. Finally, when I finally turned around 21, I was able to really go clubbing. Right, everyone waited to be 21 legally. Right, for girls, you guys could probably find a fake ID and get away with it. Guys can't do that. We wait, right? We'll
Okay.
drink, we'll drink, but we're not going to go to clubs until we're really 21. So we turned 21. I was able to do a lot more like local hall parties, and we started throwing more events of our own and nightclubs. Kind of got into me because I joined DMK. Now I didn't join DMK as a DJ. I joined as a promoter first because I wanted to just get in.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, Doug Kanagawa, a DJ, couldn't make it, and he's like, "Slip, well, you DJ, do you have equipment?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, you're set. You're set for this Saturday. So that's pretty much how I just got in, and from there on, he finally witnessed, I guess, how good I was as a DJ, and kept me on every week for the next how many years? For like 5, 6 years. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's a testament to show. Sometimes people, it's like, wherever you hop in, wherever you can get in, just try to get in right from the ground, and then wait for your shot, and then you took it. You know.
Oh yeah, I could tell Chris could about. Okay, but yeah. Before we even get there, we're not.
Okay.
Are we almost halfway of my life? Because we're like,
No, we're
okay,
not.
so like not even close. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, so I was doing a lot of the clubs with DMK, and of course DMK was great because it gave me a lot of experience um, spinning because he started giving me nights, and this was a lot of the Asian community, and I DJ for. And I do like hot import nights. And of course, a lot of the guys were into the cars and started doing all that stuff too as well. But he also wanted to expand. So he even did some stuff in Hollywood. He did Choreographer's Ball, where he had, rest in peace, Shabadu as one of our hosts too at one of our Choreographer's Ball, along with like Debbie Allen from Fame. And
Hmm.
so I was able to DJ at the Key Club.
Hmm.
And I was able to DJ at Highlands where the Grammys were at, and I was able to spin with DJ AM, rest in peace, with him too as well. I was able to DJ in the Sunset Room, so just off the Melrose Strip, I would DJ clubs over there, and that kind of helped me also propel me to DJ here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we'll actually mention that in a later story. But yeah, you also obviously you were DJ Hideo was in DMK as well, correct?
Yeah, Hideo,
Yeah,
rest in peace
yeah,
himself. Man,
yeah,
so many great people and great friends. There he is, right there.
yeah. And I believe you said you definitely learned a lot from him, during those
That
like
is
five six
actually the
years.
photo that you actually saw before that, and this one, or the last photos I've had of Hideo. That one that we
Yeah,
took together, and that's
yeah.
with the Broshigeez too.
Oh, okay,
And the
okay.
Broshigeez is actually an acronym, guys. Part of the Black Eyed Peas family, which is the Broshigeez, Brothers Shining High and God's Eternal Eye. So that was us. And if you guys hear that track "Weekends" from the Black Eyed Peas, kind of names out all the BEP family on there. So we were on there too. So big shout out to them. They're still doing it.
Nice. Um, yeah. So you learned from Hideo, and you definitely like you said you spun a lot of house parties, frat parties. You started doing like some of the stuff on the Hollywood, is they call it Strip or Sunset, basically.
Yeah. So right now he has cancer. So a lot of his stuff we were doing a lot of benefits for him. So he has that. Big shout out to Simply Hawaiian. That shirt was made actually for Hideo. That Live for Life, that Live Life uh, shirt that he's wearing right there.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? So jumping back, so DMK, I think for the people who didn't grow up in LA or lived in LA, if you want to kind of mention a little bit more what DMK stood for and what
So
they.
DMK was Doug Kanegawa, which actually that was his initials for his name, and he started that promotional company. And before that, it was International Groove. So big shout out to the people who went to like Shelters and Mooses back in the early '90s and went clubbing that way.
Mhm.
But DMK was really big as far as the nightclub scene. We did the Mayan, we did a 9 year stint at Chillers at the Redondo Beach. We did Long Beach at Live Bait, and I was able to spin with Icy Ice back then too as well, and Toquan, Hideo, of course. So it brought us to San Diego. I think that flyer that was
Yeah.
actually we DJ'd in San Diego for Y2K, and I didn't even know Rage. And Rage was on that flyer, so I didn't even get to really have a chance to meet him. And here on Twitch, we're able to meet each other now and bring that up. So it's kind of crazy how Twitch kind of brought us all together somehow in some way, and we're somehow connected, at least as far as everyone in Southern California. And of
Definitely,
course, I can't forget the Bay too as well,
definitely,
because Noel
definitely.
did bring me to the Bay to DJ with Rick Lee.
Oh, nice. So then, yeah. So after that, I think you said you had a little phase where you were getting into drum and bass, you were getting into grooving, right?
Yeah, so I had another crew, a little dance crew that we started. It was called Essential Grooves. This is during my college years, and this wasn't more b boy, but more styles, right? So when you heard some of that music and more of the jazzy music, and I was starting to get into that. So I would go to like Citrus College. I'd go to like UCLA. We just dance and go to some of these cool college parties, and we just dance. And so that was, and they got signed. So while I was still doing nightclubs, I couldn't hang out with them as often, and we were called Essential Grooves. Um, they started doing skateboarding events. So we had uh, we'd go to these tournaments, skating tournaments, where all Tony Hawk and everyone would come out. My guys got signed to Circa, so Circa sponsored us, so we had all the shoes in the world. So we were just able to just do a couple of shows, and they would play drum and bass, which is kind of like a little bit a faster version of hip hop. So we did a couple of those songs, and that was the last track that I actually played for you guys. That was
Okay.
Andre. Big shout out to him. He doesn't dance as much, but he still loves the music. He's a fireman now, so it's crazy how where everyone's at
Yeah.
20 years
So
later.
so Confucius says Slip needs his own Wikipedia page. So seriously, Slip the dancer. Who would have thought? You got to bring that back, Slip.
Oh man, yeah, that's why confusion. Just seriously, I never really talked about a lot of this stuff unless it's guys that I just really grew up with. So, big shout out to you guys having me on here and really getting to know me. I guess we
Yeah,
didn't even
hopefully.
get to how I met Christine or Chris Cut.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there too. So we're gonna. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have always heard Chris Cut's version of the story. So now we're actually gonna hear Slip's side of the story. It's pretty much the same, but it's just
Chris
funny
Cut.
hearing it from both sides. So let's talk a little bit more of this dancing stuff. So you
Well,
basically, when did you stop, or and why?
I was DJing a lot more. I was DJing like
Yeah.
almost 3 4 nights a week. I'm
Yeah.
like, to with styles, you got to practice every day.
Yeah.
And not only that, I'm a real avid bowler, guys. I average over 200, like 220, and now I'm terrible at it because I haven't been practicing. But
Flex.
Stevie's out here too if he is. But yeah, I've been bowling for how long? So I injured my wrist, and
Uh,
that really stopped me from dancing. So
uh,
CV knows. Steve, what was my average when you first met me? I was like a 200 at least. Yeah, then
Dang.
I got to 220. Yeah, but I've been always like a 200 average bowler, and I really love bowling. I'd never miss a season, so I'd always bowl in leagues and rarely bowl tournaments. And now, ever since I moved to Vegas, I kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
there
go.
you go.
195, 210.
See,
Dang.
and that's
I've
his
never
thing.
gotten
I
that
average
high.
a lot lower.
Wow, that's
Yes,
awesome.
bowling is fun and it's competitive, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't know how to explain it. So I've been bowling for how many years now? Since 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump forward a little bit. Okay, so after, yeah, so you obviously quit dancing, and then in 1999 you met the love of your life.
Well, I didn't meet the love of my life. I had a
Oh yeah, that's
girlfriend.
true. Yeah, yeah,
So
okay. Yeah, that's right.
I so my regular Saturday nights was in Redondo Beach at Chillers, and I had a good friend. I think DJ J Crew. He was on here too as well. He's on Twitch, and also his good friend Jerome, who I met through Chillers as well. And he told me like, "Hey, I have a couple of girls who are singing and would love to have some sort of mixtape so they could sing to."
Hmm.
Like, sure, I'll help out. Good friend of mine, of course. Whatever I can do. I have a couple instrumentals, whatever song you want to get, I'll provide it for you and try to put some kind of singing routine together for them. Since I've been doing it ever since, as far as um, dancing routines as well. So that was like my side gig. Um, so I was able to meet her by him. So one night on a Saturday night, um, I just told her, yeah, I'll love to meet them and see what they want. And lo and behold, I met Christine. And she brought up, "Hey, we're planning to sing, Janet Jackson. We want to do this, want to do that." So I'm like, "Okay, we'll go to one of your practices." Luckily, she only lived like maybe like 3 miles away from my house, so it wasn't too far of a drive to meet her and the rest of the girls and try to see what direction and what kind of version that she's singing at. So I just got that done, and yep, not really. Yeah, we had she had a boyfriend. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
she had a boyfriend. I had a girlfriend. So she was under my level, my life then. She
There you
definitely
go.
is now.
There you go. There you go. You just saved yourself. I'm just kidding. Okay, go ahead.
So, but yeah, so that's technically how I met her, and the more and more she did performances and routines, we got really close because um, she just lived 3 miles away from me. So anytime that she needs something, she would just not I don't want to say need something, or if anytime she has a performance or the group did, I would be there to provide them with the music. and I was definitely happy to support
Mhm.
because they're definitely talented girls.
Yeah, so you met her, and then you started teaching her how to DJ a couple years later.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So yes, I started teaching her how to DJ, but the whole the whole thing with that was this. Since she lived that close, we were able to go have lunch together, have dinner, go watch a movie, whatever. We're just great platonic friends.
Mm,
Um, just like I said, we did have we were, there's always that time where either I had a girlfriend or she had a boyfriend, and we respected each other. There was I don't think there was like any attraction or any kind of like thinking that we're gonna move in, and raise a relationship that we had because our friendship was really great, and we would never want to lose that relationship. So she'd come with me to a lot of the clubs that I would DJ because she gets in free. She probably gets free drinks. She has a carpool, and I loved it too because now I have a designated driver if I'm exhausted. No, I think I was driving just because she would be the one drinking. Okay, so I just drive home. Why would I even say something like that? So yeah, see, I was always there for her. I helped her. She got a flat tire. We were just great friends, and she had her boyfriend, and I respected him, and I had a girlfriend at the time. Same old thing, but we never had any issues as far as that happened. And finally, every time that we would go to a club, and she's not singing or performing. So the next question she'd always ask was like, "Teach me how to DJ." I'm like, whatever. You're not gonna do anything with it. I don't want to teach you. I don't want to waste my time unless you really wanted to learn, right?
mm,
Not take it somewhere because I see so many friends that I
yeah.
in the past in my cruise that I thought that we were gonna be in it, and I was like really serious about DJing, at least to the point where like I would have a full day job and still DJ on the weekends, and
Mm,
it became that I started DJing 3 4 nights a week. So I was really burned out. I'd be exhausted and still going to school at the same time, right?
yeah.
So I didn't want to do that to someone who just wants to learn because of it was cool or something. So
Mhm.
a couple months later, I don't know what happened. I finally started saying, "Okay, stop bugging me, Christine, Chris Cut." I'll say Christine because she's not Chris Cut yet.
Yeah.
I was like, I will teach you, right? Now I have more time to hang out and be able to teach now, right? So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll show you a little something. So she was at the house like she would like every other day, and I taught her like a little scratch, and I go, yo, here's a flare scratch. I want to see if you could do it. These are the mechanics of it. And she was
Mm,
able to figure out the mechanics of a lot of the chirps, the transforms, and the flare scratch, and doing doubles like in like 5 10 minutes. I was like, holy shoot, okay, I got excited. And when I got that excitement, guys, I was like, yo, she's looking sexy right now on these turntables. That is literally what happened. But I was like, you know what? She's my friend. She was my friend. So that now the attraction was there. Now the physical attraction was there because man, and I don't know about you guys, but I know there's a couple female DJs that are on here, and there's some guys that a lot of DJs that are on here. But what is it that's so appealing when we're on a female DJ's channel? It's their uh, how they touch a turntable or what it is. It just makes me feel comfortable. Just see how it looks, and I was just like, whoa, she's hot right now. So during this time, we would have a couple of friends, like 10 up to 30 guys in my friend's garage, Tomo, who was a Street Fighter champion back in the 90s. Um, you could look him up, man. He has a freaking documentary that he's one of the greatest Street Fighter champions. So Tomo, he stopped, he started DJing, and so we'd go to his house and practice,
Was
and we'd session. And I brought Christine to one of those Wednesday night garage sessions just to hopefully get some influence and ideas and get motivated to scratch. So that's what happened. So she came over and I was like, go ahead, go up there. And everyone was blown away. So I was like, yeah, I was all happy for her, right? My friends came up to me right after that session, guys. And this is what they told me. Yo, you dating her, man? What's going on? Are you, what's going on? And my answer was like, whoa, I was like, yes, I am. So step off, right? And I guess right when I said it out of my mouth is when I realized, like, whoa, I actually said something like that. But I really did. I was like kind of confused whether like, am I doing that to protect her or doing that for me, right?
Mhm.
So uh, it was kind of like I don't know what the word is. I was almost confused. Like, am I really gonna do this, or what's okay? So that day happened. So now I'm like, whoa, if people are really attracted to her, right? And just because I was the same attraction that I personally saw when I saw her starting DJing, and not only DJing but scratching, guys. And I know she doesn't scratch as much is because, and I will tell you the story of that. And this is part of me that I hated
Mhm.
about her journey as a DJ. So I know this is technically my my story, but this is also with hers because she's part of my life. So I love her to death. So
Aw.
here we go. So she's learning how to DJ through me. I bring her over to the house and she started scratching in front of all the guys. Everyone's excited about her. Everyone's telling me, "Are you dating her? What?" Because we want to see if we could try to get a chance to date her, right? I was like, "No, guys, she's mine." So okay, so we started practicing and everything else. One night, I'm DJing over at my regular weekly nightclubs. She came with me, and the guys from the garage would DJ outside. So I would DJ in the main room, playing all the top 40 hits, the nightclub hits, and the other guys would play either reggae or like more independent hip hop, um, really great old school joints, or even some rare grooves. So she went, I'm DJing my set. So she goes outside and she sees all the guys. And what did all the guys say? Like, oh, Christine, hey, I see you. Why don't you come up here and scratch? Started scratching. Everybody was out there just like, oh, snap, she's dope. And not only did everybody else see her, but the promoter, which is Doug, saw her as well.
Mhm.
And when that happened, he goes, well, hey, you're dope. Do you have a lot of records? He goes, yeah. She's not going to say no. It's like, well, come here next week, and I want you to do a set for us next week. And then she told me that night because we drove together, and I drove, and she goes, hey, I'm going to be here spinning next week. I'm like, you don't even know how to mix yet. I didn't teach her how to mix yet. How long do we have? I think like a week or two before I have to mix. I'm like, wait a second, you accepted a gig and not knowing how to mix. It's like, yeah, what about it? I'm just gonna go there and play records, right? Goes, no. And I taught her. Luckily, she already had the ear to scratch on beat. So she was easy. She was able to manipulate the records fast enough, and she was comfortable with it that she was able to learn how to mix. And she had enough records from collecting while she was learning as well. So that's what ended up happening. And ever since she got her first paying gig, and this is where I regret, because I was trying to keep her under wraps. Um, Once she started getting paid for DJing, her practice started to be like, you know what? I don't have to practice scratching anymore. I'm getting paid for it. I'm doing gigs. So I was like, man, she was like a sponge, guys. You know how when you try to teach one of your kids, uh, and like they were just taking it in and taking all the information, and I saw the potential and talent that she had. But when she got paid those paying gigs, she just got into the mixing part of it and not the technical side of it, which I wanted to come her out as that and see where it took her, because I didn't expect her to start getting a paid gig after how many months. So
Yeah,
she knows
because
it.
she also had a musical background too, like you, right? Didn't she play instruments as well,
Oh
Chris
yeah, she
Cut?
played piano as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. I think that plays a huge key
Organ.
for. Yeah.
Yeah, but she could kick my butt. She took like martial arts, so she's a black belt. So I don't
Ah.
mess around with her.
Hey, but you can out dance her. I'm just kidding. Um. Okay. So there you go. Here you go, everybody. Slip side of the story of what went down. Yeah.
So crazy how um, I didn't go for a DJ, but I just now I'm actually just hanging out with my best friend,
Yeah. That's
and
awesome.
you could put that little heart on that. So
There
there's
you
no
go.
tears here tonight, guys.
No tears. So
Nope.
thank you guys for tuning in to Cut and Scratch, a modern DJ love story.
Right? See, Alex the photographer, he feels the same way. So we could have our conversations too one day.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. Yeah, we. This is. I think there's a whole nother episode that we can talk about. Is about hidden things and subliminal. All that
Yeah.
stuff.
So
Yeah.
other than
But
that, I
anyways.
mean, we she DJ'd too as well. So because I DJ'd there, she would DJ outside in a lot of the rooms, and Doug was able to take her and started DJing some of the other nights as well. So she really had a great break for anyone who ever got into the club, and especially with DMK, which is one of the big promotional companies in LA.
Yeah.
He won like 3, 4 years promoter of the year in Los Angeles, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's over with a lot of the other promotional crews that were out there.
Mhm. It's crazy.
All right,
So
let's move. Let's move.
yeah, let's move on. Okay, move on, guys. We can get more into this another time. Okay. So yeah. Also during that time, yeah, we can talk about it briefly because you kind of mentioned it while you're spinning. But yeah, you kind of were tapped to, I guess, produce or do some scratches a little bit of samples for a couple tracks before we moved
Yeah.
to
So
Vegas.
yeah, so before I moved to Vegas, I would be hanging out with a couple of good friends, and of course with the P's as well. This is all pre Fergie. This is all like West Covina and like a lot of the guys from Walnut, Los Altos. So I started going over to the studio, doing some scratches and perform with the Broshigeez. So the app would actually do a lot of the production, and we just go in there and record. And I was able to meet other producers, especially that second to last track, Aiken, which was produced by Tom Keene, who actually is a Grammy Award winner who produced Mariah, uh,
Mhm.
Celine, and especially he co-wrote with David Foster, Shaka Khan's Through the Fire. So a lot. Um, he helped produce that last track that we released that I actually played.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was doing a lot of recordings and I was learning a lot of the production side of it. Yeah, Through the Fire, Mike Lowry. I can't say it enough. He wrote that, but he wrote stuff even from back when in Chicago, for Chicago as well. So, well, look it up, Tom Keene, Tomkeane. If you ever do your research, you could see some of his work. So I was happy um, to be able to do some stuff that he's worked on, and also I have like old files of music of people, even Randy Jackson from American Idol. Yeah, so I have some of the songs that Randy Jackson produced as well too, of some 16-year-old girl that we recorded. So I have a lot of stuff that's unreleased.
Oh wow.
But so yeah, his house was awesome. His kids actually went to the same school with Ice Cube's kid, and I'd go to his like uh, barbecues, and you'd see Ice Cube and Ray Romano because they all lived over in Encino. So it's kind of crazy
Wow.
how the world went that way. But I was in that circle, but um, I get an offer to audition to a nightclub in Las Vegas that was about to open. So I had a good friend of mine living out here in Vegas. He listened on the radio that they are taking auditions for a nightclub on the strip inside the Paris Hotel. So I was already DJing a lot of the Hollywood on Melrose and Hollywood Boulevard. So hit me up and say, hey, um, they're taking auditions for this new nightclub on the Las Vegas Strip. You got to audition, man. I'm like, what? I have a day job. I'm already DJing 3, 4 times a week. No, goes, man, you know how much Vegas gets paid? Apparently back then, if you're a Las Vegas DJ, you kind of made it as far as a nightclub DJ. That's how we felt,
Yeah.
especially the early 90s and 2000s. So we always thought that that was the pinnacle of club DJing, making it in Vegas. And I don't know what happened. All I know is like, wait, I'm going to call them. I'm going to set up an audition. He almost acted as our manager. And you and my friend DJ J Crew, you guys go ahead and you guys try to audition. I was like, whatever, go ahead. I don't believe that. It's like too good to be true in a sense.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, he calls me back at work. I got you guys an audition. I go, when? Tomorrow. I was like, I gotta call my job. What's going on? I don't have anything prepared. Like, dude, you're dope. Just go ahead and audition. Guys, get ready. So that evening, me and my friend June went to the house and we tried to create our like a DJ resume of all our events. And we drove to Las Vegas that Friday afternoon. And showed up to Risqué, which is the nightclub inside Paris, which is probably the first one mega club that's on the strip. I mean, there's maybe one or two, but that was the first one really that was on the strip that they spent millions on. So I showed up to the audition with June, and the equipment wasn't even set up. So, guys, I gotta tell you the story. That was probably a blessing in disguise,
Yep.
being there and the equipment wasn't set up. So the AV, they called the AV guys, and I met the director of entertainment. I met all the managers. It was since it was in Paris, it was Harris, like Caesar's owned. So it was a casino owned nightclub. So I had a lot of the casino heads and managers over there to judge. So they were giving me a tour and saying Sidney Crawford designed this, and all this. This is from London. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, what the hell? This is not like the lifestyle that I know about. I know about the bars and like the crazy drinks that we have. This is like, okay, this is really bougie for me. But they gave me the tour, and while they were giving me the tour, I was getting actually information from them. I was learning their musical taste and what direction they want this nightclub was going to go to. So I knew that this one really loved the 80s. I knew this person loved freestyle. I knew this one loves classic hip hop. I knew this one liked 80s pop. So I knew already what kind of music they wanted to hear. So when I went up and did my set, I only played for like 10 minutes, but I did a lot of speed mixing and dropped tracks that they really enjoyed and liked, and they were really impressed by it. So while my friend June was DJing and he was just playing songs, but then they got kind of almost like bored because waiting for the song to go. So I knew that if he had more prep like I did, like he would have been more prepared for it.
Yep.
So they called me back and they said, "We really like you. Oh my God, we really like you. We want you to be here, but we can't just hire you because you're the first DJ we auditioned." So, oh snap, okay. So yeah, I guess let me know. So time goes by, a good couple of weeks or maybe even a month later, I get a call and goes, "Yo, Slip, we want you to be our resident DJ for our newest nightclub here in Las Vegas."
Yep.
And I was like, "Can I get a day or two?" You know what I mean? Like, what does this entail? Um, so the conversation goes like, "Well, I'm not going to move out there yet. What's going on? You're going to have like 90-day probation. We're going to put you up in hotels every night. You're going to be DJing 4 or 5, maybe up to 6 nights a week because it is a new club."
Yep.
And I was like, and the money was great. I was like, okay, well, first thing I want to do is like, I got to tell Christine, right?
Mhm.
So, and mind you, we were in a great relationship. This is like barely like our first year together. So, um, it was going to be a tough one to like tell her like, hey, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity here in Las Vegas. And if, you don't want to, I don't know if you want to have this long distance relationship, we might have to just break up and just stay as friends and it'll always be good. Um, but don't get me wrong. I really wanted her to have this relationship work in some way. So when I did bring it up to her, because she knew I went to the audition, and I told her, I goes, I got it. It goes, so I guess she already had this out. It goes, I'm going to graduate in a couple months, and after that, I'm going to move in with you. I was like, that's it. We're good to go then. Because honestly, guys, I had an opportunity to move into New York as well because of an opportunity like this, but I didn't go because of an ex girlfriend. So um, now since I wasn't with that ex girlfriend, it's like an opportunity passed. So I felt like I regretted it. So in this case, I was willing to risk a relationship that we've only had, at least lover relationship, for only, she said, 3 months. So um, over to move to Las Vegas and fulfill this DJ dream that I had. But I also talk with other DJs as well. It's like, is this what I want to do? Because I was comfortable. I was working, I was going to school, and also I was DJing 3, 4 nights a week in Hollywood, right? So I went up to Mark Love. Mark Love is one of the Zulu Kings. And if you guys know me from my history that we just talked about, I really loved hip hop. I grew up with the hip hop culture in the community. Um, so I always during that time was like what's real hip hop, what's true hip hop, and what isn't. So I was playing mainstream music when I did jobs and stuff, but I still represented a lot of, and still went to a lot of these hip hop events where supporting local artists and independent hip hop. So Mark Love from Zulu Nation would say, "Hey, um, don't think of it that way that you're selling out by going to Las Vegas and spinning. Think of it this way: we need people like you to be spinning at those places so you can at least introduce them and slowly bring in some of the great music that we have to offer."
Yeah.
So right there, and that was like I didn't see it that way. So that's the reason why I that kind of helped me push to do this Vegas thing. So now I had this burden of making it to Vegas and as a DJ, a full time DJ.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. You also mentioned too that I believe the other reason why they chose you, or maybe you might have mentioned it, is they, your pedigree, I guess, of you performing at a bunch of those sunset clubs, right? That's the other reason why they chose you.
Oh yes, well, right after the audition, they were looking at the resume that we created,
Yeah.
and they're looking through. Oh, you spun here. Oh, you spun here. Oh, you spun here. It goes, yeah, you spun there last week. It goes, do you know that that's actually one of the sister clubs that help this club to open? I goes, oh shoot. Well, we did this night. Everyone and it goes, oh, you have. It goes, okay. Well, that's what we're going for. So that kind of helped when I received the call later on. So
And
yeah,
that
that
was
resume that I put up there really helped.
that was the Key Club, correct?
Yeah, that was a key club.
Yeah, Key Club. Awesome. So then, yeah. So you started spinning there, and you were at Risqué, and then I believe you were saying the when you transitioned to Pure.
Okay, so guys, so I started DJing. At here in Las Vegas, like I was DJing 5, 6 nights a week. Like the first 2 weeks, guys, check this out. I was like surrounded by celebrities like crazy. I met Joe Jackson. I met Playboy Playmates. They're like all over the DJ. Like, what's going on, right? And if you guys were ever a DJ at that time, you probably wish you were single. That's probably like the only time I was like, wow, I never seen like Victoria's Secret models like really like in front of me. I never seen stuff like this, and I'd get offered by people, other promoters and management saying, "Hey, you're really great. I want to fly you to Germany and to France, and I want you to DJ over here." But mind you, I just got this gig. I'm not going to burn my bridges. I'm on a 90-day probation. I'm not going to say that. So I'm like, no, not right now. I'm too busy here, but maybe hit me up later on. So I got a lot of these offers as well. And um, while I did that, she finally moved in with me after she graduated. And when she came in and she had an opportunity to start DJing in like the main room and the smaller room, which is called the Red Room at that time. So I told the director of entertainment, goes, "Hey, my wife is coming here and she's DJ as well. Check her out. She's dope. And maybe you want that female touch into the other room." And she was able to do that as well, and she rocked it. So
Yeah,
uh,
that's right.
she held her own. So when I was offered to DJ somewhere else, she took the reins of the nightclub. So that's Pure. If you guys know, Pure was hailed as a number one club in the whole country when it first came out here in Las Vegas. They spent multi-million dollars. I think Shaq, Brittany, and Mariah, like they all probably owned this nightclub. So I want to briefly tell you guys a story about Pure Nightclub and how I even got into Pure Nightclub
Yeah.
after spinning at Risqué, because I built a great relationship with the people at Risqué because it was casino owned. So I didn't want to leave to a management company like Pure and something that huge. And this is a story that we rarely tell. So I was DJing at Paris, and it was one Christmas, and we were Christmas shopping, and Christine actually
Oh
went
yeah.
up to Sephora, right? So check this out, guys. She went shopping at Sephora. I'm not gonna walk in there. I know it's all makeup and all, you know. So I'm like, I'm gonna sit on one of these benches out here, and this is at the Miracle Mile shops. So I sat outside, and this one lady came up to me. She's just walking by, and she's like, "Hey guys, can I? Oh, hey, excuse me, can I read you?" And I'm like, "What the heck are you talking about? Can I read you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" "Oh, let me tell your fortune." I was like, "No, get away from me. I don't believe in that stuff. Get away." So she started walking away because I thought she just wanted money. And she came back around and she's like, "Okay, stop. You don't have to give me any money. I just wanted to tell you something, and it'll be up to you if you give me money or not. And it's just something important I need to tell you. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and tell me. And this is what she told me, guys. And I kid you not, because I told Christine right after she got out of Sephora. She goes, "You're going to come to a decision, and that decision entails Caesar's Palace, and I encourage you to take it." And that didn't mean I'm like, okay, whatever, crazy woman, get out of here. But here's a buck, or I give her maybe $5. Just get away.
Yeah.
And I told Christine right after that, like, hey, this person just went up to me and said, I just have a tip. She was like a gypsy, and she told me, like, yo, if you have an opportunity to work at Caesar's Palace, take advantage of it. Go that direction. I'm like, you're gonna have that fork on the road where you make that decision. And she told me to take it. Okay, so that's a little precursor.
Yeah.
So I'm DJing at Caesar's, and probably like next year or 2 years later, I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was just months. I get a call from a friend who was the resident DJ over at Pure when it first opened in January. Did I mention the year when it started? 2005, I believe.
2005. Yes.
So Pure nightclub opened, and it was good. Like January, February, it was like the hottest nightclub. Um, Risqué was even slowing down. All the nightclubs that were happening just slowed down. Everyone was going to Pure, and he calls me, he's like, "Yo, I'm leaving Pure." I'm like, "What? That's such a great gig. What are you doing?" I'm going to DJ over at. I'm the resident DJ now at the Win. I think they were opening up the new nightclub at the Win. I think it was called Trist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so congratulations. But I don't want to leave them behind with no DJ. I go, you have so many DJs there, but they're not that good. They don't have your experience or whatever. I'm like, okay. Um, and I was like, so he didn't want to leave and tell the owner um, that he's leaving without at least having a solution. So how was that solution? I'm like, wait a second. Let me talk to Christine. Let me talk to, and how much are we looking at? And of course, they're going to offer more. Um, and uh, but I haven't played numbers yet. So I went to Risqué and I talked to director of entertainment, talked to all the managers, the owners, and it's like, hey, I got an offer. If you guys can match the
Yeah.
offer, I'd love to stay here because this is where I'm at, right? That's how I felt because I loved the staff, the bartenders. I felt like I was at home. And then they told me, like, apples and oranges, man, we can't do it. And of course, the whole gypsy woman thing is in the back of my mind. Like, I'm trying to move everything so it'll work over there, but everything led me back. So I'm like, fine, I'll do it. I just didn't want to be that situation where, like, I moved towards Caesars because of that one gypsy telling me what to do.
Definitely.
So I did it, and it was the best thing ever. Yeah, negotiations happened, and I was like, I was scared of the number, and I think I aimed too low because he was like, "Okay, got you. You're in. Let's go."
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, wait,
oh
wait, wait a
shoot!
second. Wait. I take that back.
Yeah, guys, reach for it even higher. If you
Yeah.
think how much you're valued, even go higher than that.
Definitely. That's truth right there, guys. Definitely for any industry you're in. Definitely where you're making bids or quotes on anything for sure. Um,
I realized how quick he said, "Yep, you're good. Just start next week."
oh.
See, Twinston, you've been there. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll do it for this much, and I was happy, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was trying to, like, negotiate my value. I'm like, man, I could have doubled that thing easily, or even triple,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah. So Pure, you were doing. I think you said when it first opened, you were doing 5 to 6 nights, right? You're saying?
Oh yeah, Pure
Yeah.
was popping. So, guys, when I got into the residency at Pure, they wanted me in the main room. Now there was other DJs there. DJ Karma, he was a resident DJ at Pure too. Cyber Kid eventually a couple years later, but I was there too, and there's other DJs, and I felt their hate when I came in. Right, like, who is this guy? Like, why is he coming in? I've been here for the last 2-3 months,
Yeah.
and he's going to be the main room jock, right? And I talked to my friend. I was like, "Yo, I think these guys are hating. I don't really care. I've negotiated no matter what. I'll be in the small room. I'd actually rather be in the smaller room because
Mhm.
I get to play 80s, one hit wonders, and stuff that you haven't heard. Just have a different vibe instead of the main room stuff that you would normally hear in the nightclubs. I didn't care about fame. I had a great woman at home. I don't have anything. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I've been DJing for how many years already. So I didn't mind being in the small room. So I took the smaller room, got paid the same amount as the main room jocks, and was happy. I
Yeah.
get to play 80s. I could play independent hip hop. I could play anything. So that's where I was at. Um, of course, as years pass by, when the nights are hurting, they're like, Slip, you got to go in the main room. You got to go to the main room. So I ended up going to the main room eventually and doing both nights. So when the nights get slow, I'm in the main room, or vice versa. Like it, Steve knows.
Yeah.
Stevie, it was actually CV300 was actually a barback or porter at Pure Nightclub, and that's how. Well, that's another story. How he got his job at Pure, but because of bowling, he bowled a 300 in front of the owner of Pure Management Group. Yeah, is that crazy? He bowled a perfect game, and he was trying to get a job. And just really quickly, Steve, I want to tell your story because it's awesome. Because he tried to apply, and the owner was like, "Hey, does that guy work for us?" And then we're like, "No, he doesn't. He's trying to get a job, but you guys haven't answered back." Well, he just bowled a 300. Tell him to come on Monday, and we'll get him signed in. And just like that, he was able to work for Pure.
Wow.
That's
That's
crazy,
amazing.
right? He
That's
bowled a
crazy.
300 game, and he got a job.
Steve, you should probably have them sponsor you too.
Oh,
Sponsored by
there
Pure.
was a couple of them that did want to sponsor his tournaments. That guy should have been pro, man.
Oh man. Oh, it's never too late. Never too late. Awesome. Okay, so then during that time too, I believe you were saying you still wanted to go back to your hip hop roots, and you were doing this thing called fundamentals.
Yeah, so Chris Cut was holding it down at Risqué. So we were doing this while I was still at Risqué, but a lot of stuff was going on too. So when I first moved out here in Las Vegas, something was missing, and that was the hip hop nights, the dancing, and I tried to really go into the local Las Vegas and really get a chance to meet them and see what they were all about. Because now I live here in Las Vegas, I want to support being that local. So I was trying to look for those venues, and a lot of the venues I've seen, like all the B boys, the Jabberwockies, Super Crow, all those guys were all in Las Vegas, and when I see them, they would dance to a lot of the house music, and I was like, wait a second, where's all the rare grooves? Where's all the hip hop? Like
Mm-hmm.
where's that about? And not to knock on them, I was just like wondering maybe there wasn't a spot like that, and I finally found one spot where they were having rap battles every Sunday nights, but it was just a bunch of guys and they would just go at it and maybe play some music. But it was majority of the guys, 98% of them were all guys, and they would battle. And that's when I met a couple of the DJs, a couple of guys from Rocksteady. Um, and I told them, well, I want to throw an event where it's just for everybody and just have good music, DJs, and maybe we'll have some of the guys who won at these battles perform at these events. And I don't care about making any money. I'm DJing. This is just a spot that I want to go to, whether I did it for the love. And so we found a venue and we were able to do it. And we got paid in food, so the artist, anyone. And this was at Aloha Kitchen. And if you guys have heard of Aloha Kitchen in Las Vegas, you should go over there. It's great food. But honestly, we pushed that venue to the point where a lot of people from out of town knows about Aloha Kitchen because we did this crazy Thursday nights, this hip hop night over at that restaurant. Yeah, it was awesome. Christine was on there. We had 4 turntables. A couple of DJs who were on Twitch as well. We'd bring them out. It was a great thing. I just had to get away from it because I started doing Thursday nights at the nightclub, so I'm not there all the time. So, and that's where it slowly kind of died out too as well. But after that, it kind of expanded, and some of the other guys that were there started like doing events over at uh what is that? Not the Rio, um, Monte Carlo. I forgot where the Revolution was, but yeah. So a lot of great friendships and grassroots happening from that event, from the Thursday nights that we did. So it's pretty awesome.
Real quick, Air 2015 is asking, did you do this with Noel?
Yes, he was actually the bartender there. So that we lived down the street, so we'd always eat, and it was like, hey, we could do something there. So he really helped. So that's Noel is actually my roommate during that time before Christine moved in. So um, I didn't want to be alone. We finally got a place after my 90-day period. I finally got an apartment. I lived off of hotels from the Flamingo, Caesars, and Bally's and Paris. and literally slept in a hotel every night for 2 months straight.
Wow.
It's pretty
So
crazy.
real quick, what was your most favorite hotel?
Paris,
Paris.
because the club was right there. I don't have to. You know what I mean? It was like the easiest thing.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, guys, it's so crazy because I have a couple of my friends that would come over, and I did not know that they do this, but they gave me everything. I had room service. They gave me all the channels for free. I had my friends come over and just literally watch porn on these, and I was like, "What the hell are you guys watching right now?" It's all free. And I didn't even know that because I didn't have enough time. I'm like exhausted, and all I could think about is after I DJ, I'm exhausted, and I just want to go to LA and see Christine, right?
Yeah.
So when I did have a day off, I would come down and surprise her. So that's
Yeah.
so hilarious. But yeah, big shout out to Caesars and Harris Entertainment for providing that kind of service.
DJ Bam Bam says channel 98.
I don't know what it was. Yeah, it was so funny. Like it was my friend Chad. I goes, what? He goes, dude, you have all the channels, all the movie channels, all the Playboy channels. Like, really? That's why you're here. Okay, I'll leave you alone. I'm gonna go downstairs. And
Oh, there you go. Chris Scott didn't know that. Boom. I didn't
but
know that either.
but
That's
Chris got you know that Chad came over, and any of the guys who did come over to hang out, to visit. Yeah, that's what they did.
yeah.
But yeah, apparently I had great the room. I ate for free. I really just made work. It just worked. So that was awesome. Room service, hotel food, lived off for 2 months, and just DJ'd. But mind you, I didn't receive my first check till after like 2 months of work or something. Like, what's going on? Like, hey, I've been. So it was kind of rough the first couple of months. But
Yeah.
then once I saw that first check, oh my god, like, oh shoot, oh my god, I love this job. You know.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So
Awesome. So during that time too, was it Caesars became or they changed it to Hakkasan Group or how did that work?
okay, this is so Pure Management was first,
Yeah.
and they were always like, after like 5 years here in Vegas, nightclubs has to get remodeled somehow. It gets old and stale, so they want to remodel, they want to rebrand, and another management group came in, same kind of people but different name. It was called Angel Management Group, and from after Angel Management Group, they could, when you manage a company, everyone's jobs is on edge now. So it's like, okay, who are the new DJs they want to bring? Who are the new bartenders? Anyone, they could change it after they brand. Luckily, they kept us. So I was still able to do like LAX, Tangerine. They own so many venues too. I did Coyote Ugly for a little bit, Dick's Last Resort, which is another restaurant at
Mhm.
and Excalibur, Treasure Island. So I was doing a lot of these events, and then they expanded even more since they made so much money. They expanded to Hakkasan Group,
Okay.
and now they wanted to get a bigger nightclub and get it that started at the MGM. So now we're like, oh my god, more work for all of us. But also at the same time, as DJs, you're like, am I going to be on that lineup at all? Am I, am
Mhm.
I stuck here? Is Pure dying out now? Because Pure had a great run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a love and hate. It's like, oh, it's played out. Oh, it's but
Mhm.
when it first came out, no one could deny that was like the hottest nightclub. It
Oh
was
yeah.
everyone with bottle service costing how much. Um, Randy, I know Drama was been there, so it was fun. It was definitely fun. I can't say it enough, but guys, if you guys do it every night, 3 4 nights a week, being there from 9 to like 5 in the morning, it gets exhausting. And
Yeah.
DJs, you're by yourself. You're
Yeah.
opening, you're main, and you're closing. So if you can imagine that during the week. And if you're lucky enough, you'll have Calvin Harris or someone DJ, but then you're opening, but you have to stay there to close,
Mhm.
right? So I could tell you a quick DJ AM story, rest in peace. We did a corporate event for Microsoft at Pure, and I opened up for him, but he did a main room set for like a good hour or two, tops two, and then I would close the remainder of that evening. And then he goes, Slip goes, check this out. I didn't even want to do this gig. And he goes, really? Why not? This is Microsoft, man. I goes, I
Yeah.
know. I just told him I didn't want to do it. So I gave him a ridiculous amount, And surprising enough, they paid it. And he showed me his check of $20,000. So I can say that now. It's like I was like, oh my god, I'm in the. You know what I mean? Like, what did I do here? Like, wait a second, I'm spinning this. Like, he literally like showed me like, yeah, apparently they did it.
Wow.
So big shout out to him before every all that stuff happened. So sick.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, know your worth, guys, and just like
Yeah.
multiply that and see what happens.
Definitely.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. So then let's kind of fast forward a little bit. So actually, or just kind of speed through this. So your Hakkasan group, you were obviously you spun at Omnia, a bunch of
Yeah.
other.
So Hakkasan Group, yeah, opened up MGM, and then later
Yeah.
on, Pure now was going to rebrand and close to become Omnia.
Okay.
Well, so now all of us are out of a job from spinning at Pure. Now we're just doing other stuff because now since I was already spinning at Pure, I closed that nightclub. I can't go to Hakkasan because there's already some DJs there. So I don't know. I was able to do a lot of corporate events. There I am at. That's actually Omnia right there.
Yeah.
So first open. So I started DJing over there for a little bit, and I did a couple of corporate events. Omnia was
Yeah, they
beautiful.
changed it a lot. Because
Omnia was beautiful,
so
man.
I remember Pure because I remember if Bam Bam remembers, there were a couple of times where I go to Vegas and I went with him like once, and then we just like went to the front like at Pure, we're like, hey, we're with Slip, and then I was like, we didn't have to show anything. We're like, oh, we're on the list, and they're like, oh, they just we just walked right in. I was like, man, okay, Slip's the man.
It's just the right people that you talk to. But
Yeah,
yeah, Omnia is like that's a spot right now.
yeah,
Um, who knows? But yeah, so I
looks
was
beautiful
lucky
there.
enough to spend there for a little bit. But guys, slowly but surely, there's so many DJs that want to get in there. Of course, they started bringing in all the big name tier
Yeah,
DJs. Now they got Dead Mouse, they got Tiesto, they got so. I'm an open format DJ, guys. So I'm not that dance EDM guy or house guy. So our some of the open format DJs kind of like went down to lounges and local bars and some of these casinos. So like where Chris Cut's DJing at, you DJ a lot of lounges and restaurants. So at that time already I was doing that, but then also as well, my nights were getting less and less. So I needed to get another job. Like, oh my God, because yeah, I could be working during the summers, but when it gets slow during the holidays or engagement season, like before spring, yeah, DJ, uh, DJing, the DJ business is slowed down, and probably Twinspin could probably attest to this. We have our slow time of the years. So here I DJ'd at Red Rock Hotel when that first opened. So yeah, just the hustle. I started even um, that's when Shutter Booth came, which was the hosting photo booths. I even did that. So I started doing even. I guess we could slowly get into corporate events and weddings as well.
hmm
So the more I get these events that I would get from clients, the slowly I started weeding out the nightclub scene because once I say yes, let's say to a client or let's say a bride and groom that I'm going to DJ their wedding for, then I got Hakkasan or saying I need you to DJ in Omnia. I would love to DJ for Omnia, but I already uh, booked already this bride and groom, so it slowly started moving that way, and slowly, I started getting less calls because they couldn't count on me.
yeah, yeah. And so yeah, you can kind of talk about yeah, you did Shutter Booth, but then with Shutter Booth and the wedding gigs, you started learning more about the that part,
Yeah, there it is.
industry,
So
right?
yeah, so Shutter Booth was great because I used not because I love photos or anything. It was a great gig because it's not all the time. I could still have a chance to DJ. I could
Yeah.
tell them they were really lenient, so I could still do gigs. But at the same time, I was able to go and do events for different venues, casinos, learn the loading docks for a lot of the casinos and for the golf courses around the city of Las Vegas. So I'd roll a photo booth and I'd do the whole hosting and setting up and striking. And
Mhm.
I was introduced to a lot of the wedding planners and wedding
Yeah.
the sales teams, a lot of these venues too, and their sales managers, and build great relationships. And started listening to wedding DJs and how, as a club DJ, really, I mean, we've all did weddings, I think, to start off, but really respecting what a wedding DJ really does because I have to give them more props. There's a lot of work to do, and even though I'm coming from DJing from possibly the number one nightclub in the world at one point in time, to DJing a wedding and really give them their due respect of doing mobile gigs, I was like,
Mhm.
whoa, there's some great DJs who are wedding DJs, and some that I heard were terrible. I have to be honest with you. And there's some DJs that doesn't even know how to mix two songs together, but they are great DJs,
Mhm.
right? You don't have to be the most talented technical DJ, but you could really provide definitely great stories.
Yeah.
So that was that story.
Yeah. So then from that point, so yeah, you were doing a lot of stuff with the Las Vegas wedding guy. Like you hooked up with him as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while I was doing a photo booth gig, I gave him credit. I was like, hey, um, really good, really impressed. And I gave him some props like, man, great job tonight. He goes, wow, thank you. Because he heard that I was this DJ. Like the reason why is some of the girls there that, and I'd go to that venue a couple of times, and a lot of the girls wanted to be on guest list. Don't get me wrong, I'm still connected to like the Hakkasan, so I'm like, I got him in the Hakkasan, I got him ball service, whatever it may be, and he's like, yeah, the girls told me you're a DJ. You DJ'd over here. I'm like, wow. He goes, hey, if you ever want to DJ a wedding, I need people so bad. I need really good people to do weddings. And I was like, I wasn't ready yet. I told him no, I'm still DJing. When that day comes, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So months, years, maybe years passed, and nights got slower. Pure wasn't open. Uh, Nightclubs were going down. Hakkasan taking over a lot of these a lot of the killing other venues, even the hotspot. And like that's usually what happens. A new nightclub opens, that's the hottest spot, and then
Yeah.
everything else goes slow because all the hipsters would go to that newest nightclub, right? And
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
it's dope, they'll stay there. And so that's usually what happens. So I was like, okay, LAX closed, Tangerine changed to Chateau. No. Risqué turned to Chateau. Tangerine turned into Christian Audiger or something.
Oh,
And then
wow.
after, yeah, and after that, that was a fail. And I think they turned into like some taco place. I forgot what it was. Senior Frogs. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so there's a lot of these venues are the same way too. So I was like, you know what? Um, I think I'm ready to do some weddings. And that's
Yeah.
when, and lo and behold, I'd still get calls, right? Oh, I need you back. You want this residency? I can't do it this week because,
Yeah.
and that's slowly what happens. But you know what? I love doing weddings, guys.
Yeah.
Unbelievable to known. Like, um, I'd re- these how the best way to say it is I could DJ in front of 5,000 people, and I DJ 4 or 5 nights a week. And some nights I get like acknowledged, like great job, but there's nights where I could DJ. I thought I killed it, but nobody tells me I did a great job, or I thought I did terrible, and people are saying great job tonight, awesome set. I'm like, okay, that
Yeah.
was whack tonight, But when I do a wedding, I get acknowledged after a ceremony. I didn't even spin a single record because I'm providing information to guests. I'm holding the doors. I'm letting them know what's going on and really being a master of ceremonies and not overpowering what is the most important is the wedding couple and not necessarily just the DJ. So, um, trying to juggle that and everything together. I love doing weddings because now I could play a lot of the old school, especially with us um, getting older, a lot of the music that we play stands the test of time. So I don't
Yeah.
have to play the newest hip hop track or EDM track. I could just play songs that just stand the test of time and just get everybody together and they love it. And every night after I do a wedding, they appreciate you.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling in the world. So I love my job um, doing weddings. And of
Yeah.
course, that led to a lot of like corporate clients, everything else.
Mhm.
But
And so then
same great feeling.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean, having that constant like, you know, people saying you did a great job is huge, and where it's like yeah, in the Vegas scene it's like just a bunch of drunk people, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
it just reminds you why I did this in the first place,
yeah.
right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
that's why I was like, yeah, you know what, I do. So
Yeah.
I love weddings, man. But
Yeah.
but you gotta really do your homework and really learn,
Mhm.
and through experience you're gonna learn that because, guys, you if there's any wedding DJs out there, you're doing a wedding, which is one of the most important moments in a couple's life.
Yeah.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah.
Treat it like the best thing you can, and that's the best thing you can do is do the best. And make sure you share all that information. Don't mess it up. You only get one chance. There's no coupon.
Yeah, definitely. So, um, so yeah, you hopped on with Las Vegas Wedding Guy, and then in 2017, Mode Events happened. You
Okay,
want to
so
talk
Mode
about that?
Events real quick was great because this is us right now. I was starting my own company with a good friend of mine, Brian DJ Hologram, and we it was called Music from Music, and we were DJs. We play we create music from other people's music, which is DJing. That was our company that we started, and in the meantime, we collected a lot of equipment, um, but it didn't come to fruition because he ended up getting cancer and he ended up passing away. Now, move in maybe a couple months later. After that, I meet a good friend of one of the DJs here in town, and I have to give credit to Chris Cut because she is a networking monster and she's a drinker, unlike me. So after she does a wedding, or sorry, after she does a club gig, she will go to the next club over, whether it's in the same casino, and support that DJ. She really supports other DJs, and I give her credit. But then again, she's a drinker, so she can do that. I'm like, I'm done with my set. I'm going home, but I'll say hello and that's it. But she'll be able to hang out and have at least a drink or two. So she'll support those DJs. And one of the DJs that she supported was there spinning, and a good friend of introduced her to our mutual friend now. His name is Chris, and he was from Chicago, and that's where Mode Events really kind of came into be because he wanted to um, rent a DJ equipment because he had a client here in Las Vegas that he had a DJ for. So if you guys know a lot of DJs like scratch events, they probably start booking DJs all over the country at retail stores. Let's say like Victoria's Secret, and you probably see some DJs at H&M. So yeah,
Hmm.
they would do bookings. So he would have one here in Vegas, but he wouldn't have equipment. So Christine offered that we had equipment for you to rent or to borrow, and we'll be willing to do so. So when that happened, he was really impressed with how I was able to have all the equipment organized from in a nice case. Everything's really tidy and nice, and he was impressed with the equipment and how it was set up. So we had lunch one time, and he heard my story that originally I was thinking about starting that business with my friend who passed. And he's like, wait a second, we wanted to expand to the West Coast. Instead of LA, we're thinking about Vegas. Would you like to be handling the Vegas office? And so that's bingo. We actually hit it off.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. And it's still going strong. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
So uh, some of the guys, DJ Rex J, DJ Kid Chris, those
Mhm.
guys are all promote events as well. So we do a lot of events from weddings to corporate, and it takes us to travel around the country. We book DJs from all over. I was even able to book a couple of female DJs for in Toronto, Canada. So it's awesome to be have that kind of impact, even whether it's locally here in Las Vegas or outside. Um, just to be able to handle these clients. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was just a wedding. That's at Lake Las Vegas for a wine. I forgot what it was. It was a pretty nice uh, Labor Day weekend or July 4th weekend that we did all those tents, cafe lighting.
That's awesome. So, I mean, what a story, man. Like, you've definitely gone the whole gamut of everything: dancer, producer, DJ, now like mode events and everything. And so we're going to be wrapping it up, but there's a couple questions. If anyone else wants any questions, definitely type
Yeah, if
them in
you
the
guys got
chat.
any questions,
Yeah.
and even if it's regarding a Chris cut, I'll say it.
Oh, he will. Dun dun dun. So if you guys want something juicy, ask right
Just
now,
kidding.
guys. I'm just kidding. Okay, so DJ Bam Bam asks, what are the perceived challenges DJing in a post-COVID world?
Oh wow. So Bam Bam, and that's my cousin right there too. So a lot of the stuff, and it's kind of crazy that this past year was probably the busiest that we made ourselves to in order to pivot. We tried to learn and we really tried to, and I hate the word pivot, but we tried to at least really look. at our process and the foundation that we had, that we had to like see what we really need to do, whether it's now virtual services. Do we do like we did our first virtual service for a corporate client. I DJ'd a virtual prom. We did a virtual graduation. We did green screen in Miami, and it was a great production. I wish I should have shared that with you. It was pretty intense, and it's crazy. Like instead of buying speakers, we're learning OBS. We're buying cameras. We're really learning the ins and outs of all this, and we're still learning, right? But yeah, and now Twitch is a thing, and that's why I'm really happy that Chris Cut is on there. And guys, the reason why I really don't stream is like I'm doing more of the tech side of it, but also with our company as well. So I have a lot of clients that are set for 2021 and prepping all the internals, like what you're doing. Like we're using this software. There's a lot that goes into this,
Yeah,
guys.
definitely. Yeah, I
Sportsmanship.
mean, because it's StreamYard, but then I'm also pushing OBS into it for the slideshow, and you know it. You know,
Yeah,
it's like just
yeah,
understanding this technology, and that's why if you guys definitely, this is the man behind Chris Cut's channel. Definitely sets all that stuff up. The jambling, the all of the characters, everything you see, all the overlays. Definitely give him a follow because he definitely tests out a lot of the overlays on his channel, and then eventually it gets migrated over to Chris Cuts, and he definitely does a lot of you do a lot of tests over there on your channel, right?
right, exactly.
Yeah. Steve V300 says, I need to update my dance moves. Are you available to record?
Oh, you know you could do that anytime.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean there was a lot to cover. I mean there was more, but obviously we're pressed for time. And real quick, one more question. What is the craziest request someone has made of you as a DJ?
Oh my god. As far as a song,
Well,
um,
yeah, let's do both. Let's do any request, whatever it might be. Maybe I don't know. What?
I could tell you this one, which is a great story for any Laker fans out there too. So probably the craziest request. I was DJing in Pure Nightclub, and mind you, there's thousands of people in this nightclub, and she requests. I guess at that moment in time, I was just playing like East Coast music, whatever, and she goes, "Can you play Frank Sinatra, New York, New York?" And like, I don't have a remix to that or anything. I'm like, what? Uh, I don't think it's appropriate right now. And I'm like, that's one of the greatest songs, um, top 100 greatest songs in the world, but I don't think it's like, huh? What? Why can't you play New York, New York, the original Frank Sinatra version, right? And someone came up and talked to her like, hey, excuse me, miss, I overheard what you're saying. It's like, right now it's not appropriate to play that song. It's a great song, but it's appropriate because this is a dance nightclub and it's that song's not really danceable. It's a great to listen to. And I looked up, I had literally looked up because it was James Worthy of the Lakers.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh, snap, big game James. I go, I'm a Lake, I was telling him, goes, oh, and he was like, yo, what's up? And I go, thank you, appreciate that. And I talked to that woman, and she's definitely a little bit older. And I was like, do you know who that is? I go, no, she had no clue it was. Okay, yeah, it was James Worthy of the Lakers. And I go, forget it. She doesn't know James, sorry. And that was pretty much the beginning, the first hour or so of the evening. Um, and I and once in a while I'm looking over there seeing if Big Game James is having a good time, and I'm dropping Laffy Taffy when that came out. Man, that guy knew the dance, and he was all lit. I was like, oh snap, Big Game James.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So at the end of the evening, I took a photo with him because he was still there at the end of the night with me with my backpack and everything. He was still there. And apparently he's still talking to that girl and they were still hanging out. Like, oh, okay, whatever happens. And just told him, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. You explained it to her. Goes, no, I go, because we get it. We get it a lot, guys, especially at these clubs. We get a lot of requests. Now, if Charles Barkley gives you a request, he tips really well, like
Oh
$800 for a song or something.
wow.
And there's a lot of stories with the different athletes that would come through. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, but just be mindful, guys, when you do take these requests. Let management know that could be your job. That could be your
Mm,
job sometimes.
yeah. Wow.
It's not about the money all the time. If it works with your set, but if it's also a VIP, um, and he's like, I don't know, the Queen of England wants a song request, you better do it, right? But you have to
Yeah.
talk to management and say, hey, we're going to change, big vibe change for this nightclub. And it sometimes it does happen, and they will do that for certain VIPs. Yeah, if anything, guys, I hope I got you get to really know a little bit more about me, and not only me, but with Chris got our little story, because it really clashed together as far as a DJ couple. We really didn't want to make it a DJ couple; it was never about that. Um, but what's great about both of us being a DJ couple is we're able to vent to each other from some of our tougher nights, or some of the issues that we may have with management, or somebody who's requesting some crazy song or something. I don't know what it is. I could tell you guys a story that some girl said, "Oh my God, I love you as a DJ," and she just kissed me, right? And I was like, "Oh." I went home straight, went back to the hotel. Told her, Chris was like, "Hey, just to let you know, so you don't hear from me." And I was always honest and open with her. Some girl just kissed me tonight because I was a dope DJ,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
she's
So
like, "Okay, fine." So just let you guys know, we were able to vent, and that's what we love about being in a relationship together.
thank you guys so much. See you guys. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year to you, Slip. Thank you guys. Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank
guys.
you.
Let's go
All right.
rate them.
Let's go.